Zinzino, we inspire change in life.
Hello, hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our weekly Doctor webinar. Great to see everyone back again tonight. Okay, I'm Vincent here, and I will be your main host and translator for today's session. Today is also the 8th of March, all right, and it's a special day for all women, all right. It's our International Women's Day, all right. 女神节 and I want to say a big thank you to all the amazing, inspiring, strong, and outgoing women here in our Zinzino community. Okay, we truly appreciate what you have done, and we hope that you will empower more people in your Zinzino journey. All right, I'm so happy to see so many of you today. Thank you for taking your time off to participate in tonight's session to enrich yourself. Before we start, for those who have invited your friends and customers to this session, please make sure that they are on the call now. Okay, so then you can send them a reminder so that they don't miss out any important information that Dr. Abraham is going to share today. All right, and of course, if we are using a computer to attend, okay, we have a Chinese translation later on. You can look for the interpretation icon at the bottom of the screen. It's just like a globe. Click on Chinese. All right, and of course, if you are using mobile or iPad, iPhone, whatever, all right, you can join from your mobile. You can click on more below. Okay, and then you can select Chinese. I will be there doing the translation after our introduction. Okay, I thinking about it. I think I have been in this industry for almost 17 years, and many times, okay, a lot of people will actually ask me, what are the best kind of supplements to buy? Okay, which is the most cost effective, right? Especially nowadays, more people, we can see a very big difference, and I think Dr. Abraham will agree with me. Over the past years, more and more people are educated, very more educated, and we are actually seeing a lot more people taking food supplements to cover their nutritional gaps. Okay, especially much more during this pandemic, right? And many times when we go to a mall or go to a shop, okay, we can you will step in the shop, you will see plenty of different kinds of products, okay, or many kinds of omega-3s out there. Okay, plenty of many varieties. All right, so most of the time you see many confused faces of which one to buy. They will take a look at the label, they will not sure what to look at, and they'll be lost in the brand, in the sea of brands, not sure which one to choose. Okay, just by omega-3 itself, okay, usually omega-3 has a very big section in the stores. All right, you can find a lot of different brands and different types, and mostly it's they are in pill form. Okay, so which type of essential fatty acid should you actually choose that is actually beneficial for our health, right? Doctor will go through and explain later to you why you should actually consider taking Zinzino Balance Oil, all right, and its benefits later. And of course, doctor will also be touching on our very important tool, which is the balance test. Okay, the test is actually a very key important tool, and it's a key driver as to why Zinzino has been growing so rapidly worldwide. Okay, many companies out there selling a lot of products. They say that they actually have the best products, all right, and they have a lot of testimonials. Okay, in Zinzino, of course, we do have plenty of testimonials as well, but of course, we also have another unique weapon, which is our balance test. That balance test reports can show you whether the product that you have been taking, are they actually effective or not. All right, it will give a very clear indication of your current health status, and that is actually getting more important as the society gets more educated. Until today, we have done like 790,000 tests. Okay, 790,000 tests worldwide. Okay, and the number is just growing every single week. Okay, so this is a very a very important tool for Zinzino, and we have done so many tests over the past years already. Okay, and of course, for those who have just joined us for the first time, okay, welcome to our doctor webinar. Okay, Zinzino is a test-based nutrition and public listed company based in Sweden, and we are also the world leading company with the largest fatty acid test database. All right, Zinzino has been serving many satisfied customers in Europe over the past years, and soon it will even be bigger with the Asian markets coming up. Okay, and before the end of the session, we will also open up the field for some Q&As. Okay, and this is a wonderful opportunity for you to ask Dr. Abraham anything regarding health and products. Okay, I'm pretty sure, you know, over the past week, if you have been talking to a lot of customers, talking to your prospects, you know, you will encounter a lot of product queries from them. Okay, some of them, of course, you might know how to answer them. Some of the questions you may not know. Okay, feel free to prepare this question in advance. Okay, and ask us during the Q&A segment. All right, that will be a very good time for everyone to learn and share knowledge together. All right, and as you understand more the products, you'll be more confident and more convincing when you're sharing the products with your prospects. Okay, before we start, let me give everyone a short introduction of Dr. Abraham. Doctor is based in KL, Malaysia, okay, and has been in the medical field and worked in the hospital for more than 40 over years. He's a very experienced doctor that has helped plenty of patients back to their health. All right, even though he's a medical doctor, he truly believes in the holistic approach to keeping our body healthy. All right, so he is also right now in the Zinzino advisory board, all right, scientific advisory board for Zinzino, and has been working with the rest of the board members to develop better and wonderful product for you and the market. All right, so without further ado, let us all welcome Dr. Abraham by typing 88 into the chat box, and give our warmest applause to welcome Dr. Abraham. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Vincent. Good evening to everyone. Thank you for coming on this important day, especially to the ladies. Let me say that the ladies by themselves are superpowers, not only at home, even in the public life. A great day to remember. Now, this evening, we will be finally touching on whether there are alternatives to balance oil. Now, many of you have quite a bit of knowledge about balance oil. Let me just spend 2 or 3 minutes to bring up the newcomers to the same level of information. Now, as Vincent mentioned earlier, Zinzino is a Swedish company operating mainly out of Europe. They are a listed company in Europe, and they have a list of nutritional products. Their star product is what we call balance oil. Basically, it's fish oil, omega-3, but there has been so much improvement in the presentation that it becomes very effective. Currently, this balance oil, there's nothing in the market can match this. And I will tell you the answers for that as we progress along. But for those of you who are newcomers, suddenly talking about oils, you may feel a little bit lost. So let me touch a little bit on oil, and then we go on to the balance part. And also we'll explore to see what similar oils are available in the market and whether there is any difference, and if so, what are the differences? Okay, so let's start with oil. When you hear the word oil, fats, wax, they are all three about the same thing. Biochemically, the structures are very close, and oil is in liquid form in normal temperature. If you make it cold enough, it'll become solid, and then we call it fat. Like, for example, if you take butter, it's soft solid. If you put it in the fridge, it becomes quite hard. So depending on the temperature, it can be liquid or solid. Now, fats occur in all biological systems, whether you are a one-cell organism, whether you are a plant or an animal, and of course, human beings. We have fat in our system. Fat is important for life. Without fat, life in the cell or in the body is not possible. So much so, if you don't take any fat in your diet, your body will break down protein to convert some of it to the fat that it needs. It will take advantage of the carbohydrates that you're eating and convert it to fats. By the way, when you eat extra carbohydrate, it is not stored as carbohydrate. It is converted to fat and stored. In fact, it is so important that the body can store only fat for long term. Carbohydrates cannot be stored. That statement is not 100% correct, because carbohydrates in a certain form called glycogen can be stored in the muscle, but that will last you anything between half an hour to 1 hour when you start working. Okay, so fat is the major source of storage. Fat is also the major source of energy. Each calorie of fat can provide you almost 9 calories of energy, 8.8 to be exact, but let's give a ballpark figure, 9. Why? Because I want to compare with protein and carbohydrate. 1 gram of protein, 1 gram of carbohydrate, they'll give you approximately 4 calories. So that's already just under 50% of fat. Now, the conversion of fat calorie to energy, protein calorie to energy, carbohydrate conversion into energy needs some energy also. Now, that one, the fat needs very little energy for conversion into workable energy. So in other words, fat can provide you quite a lot of energy. And unfortunately, when you take too much of fat, it gets stored in the body. The body is very smart. This is a long-term concentrated energy form. So if there is an excess supply, the body will make an attempt to store it up. Okay. Meanwhile, it will try and use as much as it can, not only for energy, it also cushions our organs. Fat deposits around organs, cushions the organ in any sudden movement or fall or trauma. And it also provides this slight coating under the skin, which gives a nice smooth covering, which is what everybody wants. Unfortunately, sometimes too much gets deposited and it begins to look a little ugly. Those who are engaged in bodybuilding and all that, they want to reduce that part of the fat so that they can show their muscles and the striations, and they work hard to reduce that under the skin fat. Okay, so fat is a good storage material for the body. Now, fat is not, when we look at something that's stored, we think it is static and it is fixed. No, fat, in fact, is now considered to be an organ in the body, because it is something that helps the body in very many ways. Without going into a lot of details, any pollution that gets into the body, any heavy metal that is toxic to the body, like lead or cadmium, which smokers have, or mercury, for example, from our fillings in the teeth, when it gets into the body, it can disturb cell functions. Now, the body tries to get rid of it either through the urine or through the hair that we grow on our heads. I can't say much about my head. The sweat that comes out, it tries to throw off this unneeded, harmful pollutants. But then in the process, this process may take a couple of weeks, maybe even months, but during which time you cannot allow this pollution to circulate in the body. Guess who comes to the rescue? It is the fat in the body that comes and soaks it up from the general circulation. Fat is a very good solvent for any pollutant in the body. So it picks it up and stores it in the fat till it is appropriate to be able to discharge it. Now, many of us tend to build this kind of pollution in the body without a stop, without decreasing the fat content, and that's not good. That is why excess fat in the body is associated with a number of types of cancers. And I'm not even talking about diabetes, blood pressure, heart disease, and so on. The worst thing, cancer. So excess fat is bad. And if you eat excess fat, you could become a person who is obese or morbidly obese. Okay. So fat is important, critical to the body. Too much of it is bad. I think this principle applies to most things in life. You take food. We need food to survive. Eat too much food, we also have problems. Work is important. If you don't work, you don't feel good. Even just the body, see? Physical activity, for example. We have, well, 630 over muscles and muscle groups, 206 bones, estimated to have about 150 joints. Can you imagine the complexity of the whole thing? If you don't work, it's difficult. So work is needed to keep active. Fat is needed for the energy. Normal amount of fats, okay? In our diet today, we have too much fats. Carbohydrate is another subject. Just to compare it, we eat too much carbohydrates also. We need to cut down. But fats, we need to keep an eye on it. We need fats. We need very little fat. Very little fat. Now, there's one famous nutritionist who describes the amount of fat to measure in a meal. The amount should not exceed your thumb size. I know it's very difficult to measure, but just to give you an idea, the amount of protein should be in meat or egg should be your palm size, okay? And vegetable should be a little bit more than that. And grains, rice, noodles should not be more than what your one hand can hold. Fat should be only one thumb. This to give you a very basic comparison, okay? So the fat that is added in food, a little bit here, a little bit there. I'm not even talking about fried food. If you take sambal, there's a lot of oil. And now you must see how sambal is made. The amount of oil it absorbs and it doesn't show. And that's why the taste is good. Oil gives you two things when you eat. Gives you a sense of satisfaction, improves the taste of every other food. And that is why it's added in cooking, even when they are not frying. So some foods may look like it's not oily, but if it is crispy, you can bet your last dollar that a lot of oil has been added. That's the only thing can make anything crispy, okay? So current diet is such, we don't have to look for how to get my oil requirement or fat requirement. We have too much, okay? I've seen people when they apply butter, for example, on their bread, it's look like they're doing a painting job. They swap so much and just rub it on the bread. No, that's too much. Bread is basically a little rough in the mouth. Your butter should be just enough to make it smooth, not more than that. And take good butter. We need very little fat. We need good fat. Now, just to add a little bit of info, we hear so much about saturated fat, unsaturated fat, what is good, what is not good. Basically, fats, when you feel the fat in your fingers, some fats are very viscous, they are very thick. Some are a little lighter. Now, usually, this thick feeling is for saturated fat, and this very thin feeling is for unsaturated fat. Those of you who may be interested in a little bit of biochemistry, very quickly, basically fats are made of carbon atoms. The whole chain is made of carbon. If it is 12 carbons and longer, then we say long chain fatty acid. Below 12, medium chain, and then they have short chain. Now, medium chain fatty acids are easier to process. Long chain fatty acids, a bit more difficult, okay? The saturated and unsaturated fats we are talking about is in the long term. Now, that doesn't apply so much in the short chain fatty acids or medium chain fatty acids because they're quickly used up for energy. When it comes to long chain, if there is an oversupply, then it goes for storage. Now, we eat all kinds of fats from meat and vegetable. Broadly speaking, your saturated fats come from animal sources: meat, eggs, poultry, and milk. Now, the unsaturated ones mainly from vegetable. There are exceptions to the rule. Like, for example, coconut oil is saturated fatty acid. Okay, avocado, fat in avocado is saturated fatty acid. This is good, but limit. Okay, very important. Okay, so what's the difference? The difference is there are parts of the chain where the carbon atom may not be fully utilized. Every carbon has got 4 limbs. Something must be attached to each limb. If it is attached in all the 4 limbs for all the 12 or more carbon atoms, it is satisfied. And so it is saturated and the chain looks straight. When it is unsaturated, there are certain carbon atoms that do not have attachment to all their arms, and therefore that part becomes a little bent. So you have saturated fatty acid, unsaturated. Now, when you take saturated and you put them together, they're very tightly packed. That's why it feels very thick. When you have unsaturated fatty acids that are bent in different ways, put together, there's not much of a tight fitting, and this fats or oils feel very thin. Okay, now we need both. We need very little of saturated fatty acid, or should I say, we need very little of unsaturated, even less of saturated. Okay, this doesn't mean every meal you got to look after your fat content. No, if one meal happens to be tasty, you're in somebody's house, it's entertaining you, don't be rude, eat well. Okay, so maybe the next 2 meals you avoid oils. So if we could make up within a 48-hour or 2-day period, we are quite safe. You don't have to get all your nutrients every day, otherwise you're going to drop dead. No, not at all. Okay. Now, the body can consume all kinds of fats. It can break it down to the basic chain called fatty acids and gets absorbed into the body and builds the fat that the cells need. Okay. It can do all the synthesis, not only what the cells need. Many of our hormones are fat-based. So they have to be different types of fat and the body can synthesize it. Okay. However, it's amazing to know that there are 2 types of fats that the body cannot make. It must be supplied in the diet straight, as the way the body needs to use it. And these 2 fatty acids are long chain fatty acids. Biochemistry name, they are called omega-6, omega-3. Okay, omega-6, omega-3. Omega-6 is mainly from vegetables and seeds. Okay, any kind of vegetable, but you get a lot from seeds like chia seed, flax seed, walnuts. You get a lot of omega-6. These are the top suppliers. Now, they find that if you can extract these oils and treat them a little bit, what is called hydrogenation, it is still unsaturated, but less unsaturated. But this treatment can keep the oil for longer period. So it can be used for cook. You can buy a bottle of it, keep it for 6 months, and use it over that period as much as you want. Okay. Now, this process is also quite cheap. So what happened is around the world is the supply of cooking oil was available very cheaply, and therefore we are overusing these oils. Okay. Minimize the usage of these oils. So it is important because the body cannot synthesize it. However, we are over consuming. So cut down on oils in general, vegetable oils in particular. Okay. What about omega-3, another essential fatty acid? We find that compared to diets 100 years ago, the consumption or availability of omega-3 in our foods have gone down. Even seafood, where it's supposed to have the maximum amount of omega-3, the amount has gone down. I like to say this often. For example, this part of the world, we love prawns. Some of the prawns you get in the more expensive restaurants could be 1 year old. Prawns are bred nowadays in large amounts. They are harvested and frozen. Now, to keep them so that supply can be on a regular basis, not seasonal. Now, these prawns are bred. They don't get the best nutrition. They don't get to synthesize enough of omega-3. So even if you eat seafood a lot nowadays, your supply of omega-3 is better than those who don't eat seafood, but not enough. Okay, so we need to keep an eye on that. And the only way to balance it would be to take a supplement. And this has been confirmed so many times that there are many companies in the market supplying omega-3 fish oil. By the way, omega-3 is not necessarily fish oil, but most of the supply comes from fish. So some people, instead of giving a technical name all the time, they said fish oil. They are not very far wrong. By the way, omega-6 used to be extracted a lot from evening primrose. And so at one time it was known as evening primrose oil, which is not far wrong, but you get a lot of omega-6 from seed oil nowadays. Soya bean, all kinds of beans which where we extract the oil for cooking. Okay, so cut down on that. Supplement your omega-3. Now, what kind of supplement? Which brand should I take? Actually, the quality of omega-3 that comes into the market today is pretty much standardized. You get good quality from a lot of companies. The competition is so tough, you cannot bring in inferior omega-3. Omega-3 is good. The difference comes when the concentration varies. Omega-3, most of it is sold in soft gels. So the first line may be 1,200 milligram soft gel of omega fish oil. But if you look a little lower, you will find the ingredient which actually works in the body are two things. One is EPA, one is DHA. EPA, DHA. Now, when you look at the prices, hey, why is this bottle so much more expensive? Same 100 soft gels and another brand is cheaper. This is the reason that EPA, DHA will be maybe 300 in one soft gel, while the total amount of oil is 1,200, which means the rest of the fat is just fat. Okay, some, the more expensive brands, they put in double the amount of EPA, DHA. So you will have to look and see to work it out. Okay, so should we get one of those? Yes. If you are in a place where you can't get even anything better, you should get any fish oil. Why do we say Zinzino Balanceoil is superior to that? Not because of the EPA, DHA, but we do add something to it to make it work in the body. How did this come about? Now, fish oil or omega-3 has been on sale for the last 40 years. But over that period, early studies showed that there is not very much benefit in taking omega-3 oils. There has been review after review. The best studies showed it may be beneficial, but not very sure. And they were wondering why. Because when they studied the Eskimo population of the older generation, they consumed only fatty fish and seal, which had a lot of omega-3. Their heart problems were much less than populations elsewhere. Okay, now if they benefited, how come when you make a commercial preparation, it doesn't seem to work that well? And they found out that in nature, omega oil exists with an antioxidant. It must come together. This antioxidant is called fluorotannin, and while extracting the oil and purifying it, that is lost. Now, it's difficult to replace that particular antioxidant because that is synthesized by algae in deep sea. What is the nearest thing that we can put together to give that same effect? Over the last few years, many companies have added vitamin E, astaxanthin, zeaxanthin to the fish oil, and it did help. Yes, it helped keeping the oil fresh longer. So now don't think that because it is in a soft gel, it cannot go bad. It is sealed. No, oil is unsaturated oil. It does go bad. Okay. And with a soft gel, you will not know whether it's gone bad. Very difficult to make out. If it is liquid, the taste will tell you immediately. So this was added and it did make some difference, but not as much as expected. So the studies that came out in the last 10 years is a bit more encouraging that it is beneficial. Now, Zinzino, through some research, people found out that the best antioxidants to add, the nearest to the fluorotannins, are a particular group of antioxidants that are found in extra virgin olive oil. This group of antioxidants is no more a secret. They are called polyphenols. But when added to fish oils, the absorption not only keeps the oil fresh, absorption and use by the body cells improves tremendously. Okay. Now that we have added, the average customer picks up the product. He consumes it. How is he to know that the cells in his body have benefited from the omega-3? There has to be a test that's done. Now, if you go to walk into an ordinary lab, at least in Southeast Asia, we don't have such a test. The labs will accept your request, but they have to send your blood overseas to specifically test it. Now, Zinzino has worked with a very advanced lab in Norway to make an arrangement in such a way that you can easily do the test. You don't have to withdraw blood. You just prick your finger, put 2 drops of blood on a special piece of blotting paper provided by the company and put it into an envelope, and you can send it to your local Zinzino office headquarters in Southeast Asia. Other parts of the world, the arrangements may be different. Okay, they will send it to the lab. The lab will analyze it and send the results confidentially to the email that you had supplied. Now, this test will show whether your balance is okay. What is the balance? They find that omega-6 and 3 is not only essential, it must come in the right ratio. Omega-6, omega-3, 3:1. That should be the ratio. Some people insist on 2, some people say 4 is enough, but we take a middle path and say omega-6 and 3:1. over the last 1.5 years that Zinzino Balanceoil has been available here and the test has been available here, in Malaysia, the average we find is 22 to 1. That's quite far off. Now, why is this important? There is a process called inflammation, which is a very protective process in the body. But the process itself is a bit damaging. So if the body needs to repair some part of the body, it creates inflammation that brings more blood circulation into the area, a bit of redness, a bit of swelling, a bit of tenderness. Once the repair is done, it clears off. The body must be able to do that. That is promoted by omega-6. Now, to bring it down, omega-3 is important. If you have too much of omega-6, low-grade inflammation continues in the body and is now known to be the background from which you can develop diabetes, high cholesterol, blood pressure, and so on. Don't get me wrong, this is not the only reason. There are other reasons: obesity, stress, lack of exercise, even genetic reasons are involved. This is a contributing reason. Okay, so if we could balance this up, at least we take one risk factor out of the picture. Okay, now Zinzino supplies this oil with a test kit. Now you need to do a test before you start taking the oil. Let's say you were taking some other brand, you would want to know whether it's working for you. So do a test before you start the balance oil. Know where you are, start the balance oil, and what we suggest is wait for 120 days. Why this special figure? This is the amount of time required for all your red blood cells in the body to change. Okay, now after 120 days or 4 months, you check the blood again and you will see not just a difference, you will see a major difference. At least that is what we see from the last 1.5 years in Malaysia and Singapore. Okay, overall, Zinzino has recorded a figure of 95% of the people improve their ratio. Do all of them get to 3:1? Yes, but they take different times. We have had members who've hit very impatient. They do the test 2 months later. And these are people who have been taking the product very religiously and so on. Occasionally, we see some people in 2 months, they hit 3:1. Okay, some people take a bit longer. When you take longer, that means your body, the way it utilizes omega-3 may be a little different. It will catch up maybe later. Now, why do we check the red blood cell? If you look at the blood volume, we have about 5 to 6 liters of blood, depending on our size, okay, which circulates throughout the body every minute, even when you're sitting down. The red blood cell probably is with the white blood cell. These are the two cells that go all around the body. So we can say safely that it is a representation of the structure of the membrane of any other cell. So what this test does is it doesn't test from the liquid part of the blood. It tests the membrane of the red blood cell. So it is not only what you absorb into the bloodstream, but what actually gets incorporated into the membranes of the cells. Okay, why is this important? Now, every cell has a membrane. We look at the diagram of a cell, it looks flat. It is not two-dimensional. Every cell is like a ball. Sorry, there are many different shapes. The ones that we normally see drawn is round. So the membrane covers it in a three-dimension way. Okay, now the membrane is very important. It has to be flexible but tough. It must be selective in absorbing nutrition, oxygen, hormones from the bloodstream. At the same time, the membrane must allow waste matter to go out and not nutrition to leak out. So it's a very finely balanced functioning membrane. For that, that membrane has to be 50% fat. Out of 50, that 50%, close to 10% is omega-3 and omega-6. I'll give you another area. You take the brain, for example. Brain, well, no matter how heavy you are, your brain is approximately 3 pounds. In modern terms, it will be maybe just under 1.5 kilos. Okay. Now, the brain is 60% fat, and 9% of that is just DHA, which is only one component of the omega-3. The other one is EPA. Okay, the brain has EPA too, but DHA alone makes up 90% of the brain. You see how important it is for developing brains and also to maintain the brain structure. I'm not promising you a super brain because you take DHA. That requires many other things, your education, your training, the way you think, and so on. But without proper brain tissue, you can't do all that. So to maintain that, you need a good amount of DHA for the brain. So omega-3, which contains both EPA, DHA, is extremely important. You must get the right kind of preparation, okay? You must, if you can, be able to test out and see whether you're benefiting from it, okay? By the way, bonus added to it, vitamin D3, which has become very important and quite we know more information about D3 because of this pandemic, okay? And now that is also added to the fish oil that Zinzino supplies. In this part of the world, we measure it in international units. Now, each smaller serving is 500 international units. Larger serving is 800, okay? This is a pretty good supply. You will be getting some vitamin D from your food, a little bit of exposure in the sun. All that will add up and you will have adequate amounts of that. So not just omega-3. Now, when the polyphenols are added, they have to have a carrier. They are extracted from olive oil, and therefore some olive oil has to come along with that. What is olive oil? The extract that comes along with that is called omega-9. The body can synthesize omega-9, but under extreme conditions, demand, it may not measure up. So this extra supply of omega-9, which is a monounsaturated oil, it is considered a very healthy oil, okay? So you have a great combination, one, and you also have test results which will show you not just your omega-3, your omega-6 levels, your omega-9 levels, and also the saturated fatty acid levels to let you know whether your cells are able to function well as far as essential fatty acids are concerned, okay? I've been speaking for a while. I will take just 2 more minutes and then we can go to question and answers, okay? Now, we are one of the few companies that are able to supply vegan omega-3. Maybe I shouldn't mention this part of the world, we still haven't got the supply. Zinzino is so careful to get vegan oil, and of course the demand is not great. Not many vegetarians around, and it is certified by the UK, United Kingdom Vegan Society. Why is produced in Sweden and then endorsed in UK? In Europe, the UK Vegan Society is the most strict vegan society. Any contamination from non-vegetarian sources, they will not agree to it. Okay, so that is available. So you can see that Zinzino is very serious about its oils. Not only is it reinforced, we have the variety to cater for all needs. I will stop here and let's see what questions we get. Now, while you're writing your questions, let me suggest what possible thoughts might come into your mind, and let me give some answers. Who can take balance oil? Anyone who's on a normal diet should take balance oil. What about people with cancer, some serious illness like cancer, or maybe kidney failure on dialysis? I would say they should be taking. But inform the doctor who's treating such patients so the doctor knows, because they're always worried about any herbal products. They don't like herbal extracts, and we don't have that in balance oil. From Toshi, currently I'm taking balance oil and Velexir. Can I take a multivitamin at the same time? Do I get additional health benefit? Now, some of you may not be from this part of the world. You may not be familiar with Velexir. It is a liquid product also with very high antioxidants. And by the way, Toshi, we have the full range of vitamins A, B, C, D, E in the minimum amounts that you need for health. And in your diet, you'll be getting more. So you should be able to get adequate amounts of vitamins by just taking Velexir. Okay. Do you get additional health if you take an extra? Now, that's the amazing thing about food. You don't have enough nutrition, and when you take the proper nutrition, your health improves dramatically. When you take extra nutrition, it doesn't seem to make much difference. Okay. My first balance test, arachidonic acid, AA, result is in green. After taking balance oil, it became too much yellow. Why is this happening? Good question. Now, when we give our reports, we also give certain bar diagrams, and it comes in 3 colors. Red means quite bad. Your deficiency is bad. When it is yellow or orangey yellow, well, you're not that bad, but it's not good enough. The third color is green, which means you're okay. Now, among all the oils that we measure, and we measure 11 different oils, arachidonic acid, or AA as it's given here, is probably the most unusual one. Okay? We have 2 ends. You cannot be here, you cannot be here. You must be in the middle. All the others, here may be low, this is the right amount. So more the better. Arachidonic acid, too low, no good. Too high, no good. So the right place to be here is here, okay? Having said that, what is the answer to this? I seem to be in balance, and now I'm out of balance. Again, look at your diet, okay? Now, when you take omega-3, okay, and your metabolism gets better, you may be absorbing more of the nutrition that you take in your diet. For example, a simple one, your vitamin A, D, E, and K absorption is better. So you may be absorbing more of the oil in your food, okay? Now, so if arachidonic acid has increased, 2 things, either your consumption or you went through a period where there was some infection, fever, flu, or there's some injury or something where the body needs to put out inflammation. Okay, so it is mediated through arachidonic acid. So if your overall omega-6 and 3 index has improved and your arachidonic acid alone has moved a little bit, not to worry. Yeah. Skin eczema problem, complicated. It is not an easy solution. Eczema problem, continue to see your skin doctor. The nutrition for the skin is what we can supply. Now, the turnover of skin layer in eczema is very high, and therefore the turnover of raw material is also high. And balance oil and Velixir will help to support that. Can a cancer patient who's undergoing chemo take balance oil and Velixir? Yes, I would say take both. As I mentioned earlier, inform the doctor what you're taking, can show him the list of ingredients in our balance oil and Velixir. A cancer patient usually has poor appetite, okay? While a lot of cancer cells are growing and they tend to lose weight, they can't eat and they need nutrition. So this would be a good addition to many of the shakes that will be recommended. Another question, my first test was 25:1, which means 25 omega-6, 1 omega-3. I am balanced at 2.9:1. Wow. After the second test, you didn't give me the period. I don't know whether you tested it earlier than 4 months or at 4 months, but the final result is very good. However, my arachidonic is still at yellow. Remember the question earlier? Same explanation. Look at the stress in your life. If you have a lot of stress, you will produce inflammation. Arachidonic acid is the medium through which it happens. So look at that. You don't have to increase your balance oil. You've hit your level where you got your balance. So you have to look at other factors that promotes the inflammation in the body. Pregnant women can drink, must drink, not only Velixir, even balance oil. Okay, Velixir provides an expectant mother with the basic vitamins and a lot of minerals. Okay, not to mention the antioxidants. Now, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, every expectant mother used to be given iron. Today, we don't give it because they realize that too much iron can cause jaundice in a newborn child, baby. Too much iron. And today's diet has got a lot of iron, but very low in micro minerals. Velixir will supply that. Can balance oil help on dry eye, or should I combine with Velixir for better result? Now, dry eye is a little complicated. It could be due to the aging process. It could be due to eye stress, usually eye stress, because we spend so much time on the computer and we have no way out. Handphone, computer, okay? So what happens is, if you are normally talking to somebody, you tend to blink your eyes more often than if you're looking at the computer. We don't blink that often. And so what happens is our eyes do not have enough secretion. You know, every time you blink, it's the eyelid that brings the tears over the eyeball. So yes, it will help the health of the tissues. In the eyelid up there, there are glands that secrete oil. Okay, when you say dry eye, many people think it is the tears only. No, you need to get a film of oil. Only then the liquid, the water can slip across it. Okay, so yes, take both the products. I would urge you that before you go to bed, take a small towel, soak in warm water, and just give warm compression over the eyes so that the glands keep functioning. That warmth will relax the eye muscles and help to regenerate. Brenda, in case of high level of stress, can Velixir help in AA level? Okay. In cases of stress, we need to see what stress it is. Stress is a pressure on the body. Is it mental stress? Is it chemical stress? Or is it an infection stress? So we must first try and reduce the source of it. Yes, balance oil will help you. Can balance oil help reduce stress? How I wish it could, because Then we can give it to all the guys who are stressed out or depressed. Now, when we get depressed, everybody gets depressed. Depression is a process by which you solve a problem or you wrestle with a problem. The problem may be one day, it may be a family problem that lasts for years. All these are stress. Now, what is the equipment that is handling it? It's the brain. Okay. We say he broke my heart, but actually he broke the brain or the head. Okay. Now, you are strengthening the organ if you take balance oil. So working out the stress, depression, and all that, you must look at what problems you have. Maybe you need some professional help in that area. But yes, the outcome will be better if you take balance oil. Can balance oil help glaucoma? No, sir, unfortunately, Toshiba. This glaucoma, by the way, is a condition where the pressure in the eyeball increases, which is not good. You can lose your eyesight and you may not have any symptoms. The eyeball is, it's like a ripe grape. It is soft and there's a jelly inside. There's fluid formation and there is a drainage system. When the drainage system is a little blocked partially, pressure goes up, okay? That has to be treated medically. Now, what does it destroy? Glaucoma will destroy the retina in the eye. The retina is actually an extension of the brain, which means nerve cells. So it will help to protect that while the treatment is taking effect. For those with poor gastric health, can you advise how should they take balance oil and Velexir? Balance oil should not be a problem because it will just give a coating to any irritation, ulcer, abrasion, erosion you may have in your stomach. Velexir is very high in antioxidant. It can irritate even a normal stomach for some people, okay? I've gotten used to it. I can take just raw like that. Many people do, but some people cannot. So they should take it after a meal. So it mixes with the food and it will not be so irritating to the lining. Even if that is a problem, I would suggest take half the dose, half the serving after a normal meal. When you get used to that, then you can take a full sachet. Can glaucoma be prevented or is it genetic? Now, glaucoma, the cause, many reasons. Past history of eye injury, past history of eye infection, allergy to certain drugs. Some people, if they use steroid eye drops for too long, they get glaucoma. Not many, there are a few people, okay? So, and of course, genetic tendency is also there. The treatment will depend on the cause. When omega-3 and 6 in 3:1 ratio still need continue to take balance oil? Yes. Once you hit your balance, okay, balance oil is food. You need your daily maintenance, okay? So yes, you will need to continue. Not that if you stop taking in 1 month's time, you're going to collapse or anything like that. No, you will get optimum health. It's like taking good nutritional food every day.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Abraham, for your sharing today. Okay, a lot of questions, relevant questions. Good to see so many questions coming in. Okay, there's a lot of great information that you have shared today, and I'm very sure everyone here has benefited from your tips and advice. All right. So all right. Okay, let us go. Let us give a doctor a round of applause one more time. Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank you.
All right.
You.
After
everyone.
today's session, I hope everyone understand, the difference between, our Zinzino Balance Oil, okay? Our Zinzino Balance Oil. If you have not seen it, okay, this is our Zinzino Balance Oil, okay? And the omega-3 that's been mostly sold outside, I hope you can see the difference. There's a big difference in terms of quality and how beneficial is it for our body and health. Okay, and all this can be verified by science, okay, which is our Zinzino balance test. Okay, and honestly, I have been taking this Zinzino balance oil over the past month, and I must say that it has really helped a lot, and I can really feel a big difference. I took balanced oil every day in the morning, okay, with my breakfast. So every morning, my health has been taken care of, and I can focus on my daily activity after that. Okay, and of course, if you have liked what Doctor has shared earlier, but have yet tried taking our product, okay, talk to the person who invite you to this call. Okay, but before you start taking the products, okay, we strongly recommend you to take the test, okay, which I showed you earlier, test, okay, so that you know where you stand. Okay, and even though you may have been taking a lot of other supplements before, okay, you will likely find yourself to be unbalanced. Okay, for just take myself for example, okay, I have been taking other products, okay, for 16 years, but when my first test result came out, it was not ideal. Okay, and my omega-6 and 3 index was actually 12.7:1. Okay, as explained by Dr. Abraham earlier, what happened when this happened is that, when we are not balanced, there will be prolonged inflammation at cellular level, which may lead to, a chronic disease. All right. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to reverse that if possible. Okay, and so after you have taken the balance test, okay, you know your first test result. Okay, you can then start taking the balance oil for 120 days, okay, 4 months at least. Okay, and during this period, make sure you take sufficient, make sure you take daily. Okay, don't forget. One way of not forgetting is maybe you can take it in the morning so you don't forget. All right, and then after that, after 120 days, take the test again, okay, to see your second result from the 790,000 tests, okay, that we gathered so far. Okay, we can be very confidently say that, you will see a very big improvement after 120 days. Okay, and likely to be in balance. Okay, myself, okay, my balance ratio almost went down to 3:1 after 4 months. And I personally can also feel a very big difference in terms of my productivity, in terms of my focus, in terms of my sleeps. All right, so and of course, after you take the product, you like the product, you can then share with your friends, families, and make sure that they do their tests also before they start taking them. All right, and when you have 4 customers yourself, Zinzino will reward you with the free product. Okay, so inviting your customers and prospects to attend our health talks are actually very important. Okay, and it will be very helpful for your business. We invite Dr. Abraham, we invite our nutritionists from Malaysia, from Taiwan to conduct the session. They can actually explain the products better, and this help your customers to understand the products easier as well. Okay, so this is the session for Dr. Abraham. All right, every Tuesday evening, 8:45 p.m. Okay, next week we are going to talk about cholesterol management. Okay, cholesterol in management next week, and of course, do remember to send your invitations to all your prospects and customers. And on every Wednesday, which is tomorrow, 8:45 p.m. or should I say 7:45 p.m. Thailand time. Okay, we will go over to Thailand. Okay, and we will have our product health talk over there by our product specialist. He will speak in Thai. Okay, so if you do know anyone, any customers in Thailand, okay, do invite them to the call as well. There will be Q&A also. Okay, very good chance for you to actually grow your market, grow your customers base over there in Thailand. Okay, and following will be next Monday. Okay, next Monday we will have our fitness nutritionist Victor will be speaking to us again. Okay, on Monday, next Monday, and he will be talking about how to choose the best type of choosing the affordable and healthy oil. Okay, next week he will be talking to us in Mandarin next week. Okay, so don't miss out this session as well. It's very well liked yesterday. So do remember to send your links to your customers. All right, I know all this may sound a bit confusing, not sure when are we going to have our talks. Okay, do remember to follow us at our Facebook group, Team Zinzino Asia. Okay, I have highlighted that in yellow. okay, many people actually request to join the group, okay, Team Zinzino Asia, but a lot of you forgot to fill up your name and your ID as well as your, you must also agree to the group rules, all right? You must make sure all of these are filled up, okay, in order to gain access to the group, okay? Our moderator will check everyone, check every request, okay? So make sure you fill them up, okay? Stay connected with companies at the various social media channels, platforms as well. Okay, we'll put up a lot of educational information over there, all right? Okay, so that's all for tonight, okay? Webinar is coming to an end. Stay safe, stay healthy in meantime, okay? And do plenty of Zoom meeting, all right? I hope to see everyone again tomorrow evening with the Thai session. Thank you for your participation, all right? Good night and have a wonderful week ahead. Bye for now. Thank you.